associated with the hijab. Like, for example, what's her name? Mint Press News never grew up wearing a hijab. Okay, so if you watch one of the documentaries on the Muslim Brotherhood, you realize that this was a tool or an exploit, really, to create what would be the virtue signal, right? But in other words, it's why I said the swastika, right? It's the way of signaling to someone. Now the mask. So I would say the mask, the hijab face covering. So look at that. We're getting synonymous here. These are all ways, and hey, for the Star Wars people, right? Like the stormtroopers, these are all ways of saying to people, I submit, And so to think that Biden is shooting down the innocent Muslim kids, and look at all those innocent Muslim hijabi kids, well, you have to realize that's the snake, snake eating its tail. Okay, and you got Muslim Brotherhood up with Hillary Clinton, at State Department sponsored events, right? Kamala Harris's name. I mean, she's not writing a letter thanking CARE for their support. She's writing a letter on behalf of CARE. Do you see the level this is on? That's Center for American Islamic Relations for the noobs out there, okay? The people in the cheap seats. So if you can't connect these dots, then, we're not really going to get any real change, So I don't want to go that route either. I'm not trying to get people to start uncomfortable conversations. I'm just, like I said earlier, this is free therapy for me, okay? I don't need to schedule anything with anyone and have them show up at my place. I don't need to go anywhere and lay down on someone's couch, I'm just throwing all this crap out there. Everyone's so whatever now, what better do you have to do than to play stuff like this? And then if 1 in a million sift it, or if in a year from now I sift through this, and I explain better my hijabi deal. And imagine if I got hijabis to take off their hijabs and like build rocket stoves. Do you get what I'm saying? Faith without works is dead. Right? So the whole, I'm trying to show to you how devout I am. No, are you harvesting fuel? Are you storing fuel? Are you then harvesting it? Are you ending hunger, directly by growing your own plants and vegetables and then handing them out, to people, and then inevitably getting profit from it, which only increases your ability to end hunger, right? Are you doing all these things as the prophets, the avatars, as all these things have been written about? Or are you sticking your hand out like no religion ever told you to do, So it's just real baffling how topsy-turvy people can be. And rocket stove, right? I'm waiting to be challenged. I haven't done any PhD dissertation proving my points, but I think they're so obvious that, that's why people aren't challenging them, and I wish they would challenge them, because that could only then strengthen my response, right? My dad was like, oh no, the smoke. And, with the rocket stove, you have initial smoke, but if the design is good enough, that should be it, and then something about oxygen, and it's like, well, we're not running out of oxygen, so the arguments end at a certain point. And this whole delusion, you're hearing stuff in California now about no new gasoline stations being built. Okay, this is delusion. These are people, they're so-called progressives, saying that it is going to be good for every person, the person that is, these people claim to be about the homeless and the poor. And then they're telling you, oh, but the moment a poor person drives a car, they should pay out their ass to get around. So freedom should cost you a lot of money instead of pennies a gallon. And what I don't understand is, if these people are supposedly all about peak oil and the resources are going to run out, then let it run the F out. Why are you waging doomsday on us, through fiat, through legalism, versus Mother Nature? Let the resources be deployed then, and then people will have to. But no, you want to. And I mean, we can debate that because none of the resources are going to get depleted if dollar went to cents on a gallon, blah, 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 right? They just won't, well, why won't they? Not just because of innovations, but just because of geological processes, just because of the fact that oil wells get used up and then plugged up, and then 10 years later they find oil in them again. And there's no real conversation being had about any of this, right? So, I mean, it's like you want it like a bomb of $10, $20 a gallon gasoline before we see any changes. So then, okay, let's just follow their vision out. Everyone's on the grid, okay? No one's using gasoline anymore, and so then the gasoline just sits there. I mean, what does the oil do in the ground, just sitting there? Oh, maybe like the wood just sat there in California and choked everyone to death last summer. I mean, did you see Newsom holding his head down, apologizing for that? No, it's insanity. Yes, California, I was asked by a buddy the difference between communism, socialism, fascism. I don't know. Can someone tell me? Democracy. You have a democratic council. That's all a sham. That's all a rigged democracy, right? It has to start with land. If you don't own your own land, if you can't ply your own land, right, then you're not really exercising any real decision making, right? It's all just rigged. And if you don't own land, you should realize that. You should stop wasting your time with the obsession over power, okay, and learn how to do things for yourself. Eventually, you will get that land, and then you'll be able to, to create like changes with that. And see the air clean up and everything. Because again, rocket stove, rocket stove, rocket stove. So, oh man, come on, hijabis, come at me. Someone come at me. Come at me. Oh, come at me. I'm lonely.